Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MMA Alerts. Today, Sean O'Malley revealed the timeline for his return to the UFC. Sean O'Malley will have to wait a few more months before he can start his quest to reclaim the UFC's bantamweight title. However, recently Sugar gave an update on his health and when he hopes to fight again after losing by decision to Morabdi at UFC 306 last month. He said he was going to undergo after Divish had hip surgery. Everyone was talking about him fighting someone other than Sugar in his first title defense. Recently, O'Malley said on his YouTube channel that the surgery went well and that he can't wait to fight again. I had surgery Thursday today, and Saturday it's been 2 days. I feel great. I'll be back next week, just barring. I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to recover as fast as. Everyone is telling me don't come back too soon. I'm coming back just the right amount of soon, but I want to be back as soon as possible. I want to get these fights in while I'm still young enough. I turned 30 this month to do everything right and recover, but I want to get back in there. April, May, or June at the latest. I think I might be able to get back before that. March would be crazy, but who knows? I'm just going with the flow day by day. So if Al is ready to go in early Q2 of 2025, I will. Even though Sugar just lost, he is still one of the biggest names in the UFC at a time when some people are wondering if the promotion is lacking stars. Of course, the big question is who Ali will fight when he comes back. All signs point to Umar Nurmagomedov fighting Morab next, so if that fight happens in early 2025 and Dishi wins, could O'Malley fight for the title in his first fight back? What do you think? Do you think Sugar doesn't deserve a title shot right away? Comeback Dana White goes off on a UFC competitor, off on a UFC fighter. For a long time, people were surprised that Dana White never went out of his way to insult the Professional Fighters League, given how he has talked about many UFC competitors in the past. But that's all changed now that Francis Ngannou's nasty split from the UFC and his move to PFL, as White has become more vocal about his dislike of the promotion, for example, when talking to the media after UFC 307 ended on. The UFC boss was asked about the PFL's plans to hold a show at the Sphere in Las Vegas on Saturday, and White really went off on them. This is what White said: if you're losing as much money as they are, I think you should throw everything you have at it. One of them just recently said, we're going to spend more money than they did on the Sphere. That sounds great, but how many tickets are you going to sell? Those people aren't very smart. So if I were them, I would do what they're doing, which is nothing. They're not good at what they do, so I guess you would keep trying everything you can to make something stick. Even though it's not a surprise that one of the biggest names in the UFC, Ngannou, signed with the promotion after White switched gears and went on the offensive with the PFL, it has been interesting to watch. ESPN has a deal to show as the UFC's current television partner. Some people thought he didn't want to upset the network's management, but it's clear that's no longer an issue for White, if it ever was. Okay, next. Joe Howie Dolan tellings. What the UFC ref said after UFC 307. Rogan talks about what the UFC judge said after UFC 307. If you chose to watch something else after UFC 307 ended or had to start driving home, you missed Joe Rogan's jaw-dropping comments. To be clear, those comments came from renowned referee Mark Goddard, and Rogan shared them. Goddard was the referee for the main event of the card, which saw Alex P come back from an early flash knockdown, put away the skilled and tough kill Rowe in round 4. By that time, Poen had already hurt and bruised Rowe's face, so what did Rogan say was good about the main event while he was talking about it with Daniel Cormier and John Anik? Rogan told them the following: Mark Goddard came up to me in the octagon after the fight and told me I've been doing this for 20 years and the way he hits people makes it sound like nothing I've ever heard before. He kept saying that it was unbelievably loud. Pota is not like any other person in any way. I knew this about Pato before he started MMA. I knew it from kickboxing. This is a completely different animal. I'm sure that all MMA fans are well aware of how ridiculously hard he hits after all the kickboxing highlights that are in MMA. There are examples of him violently turning out his opponent's lights, and in many cases he has done this with just one shot. To hear this from Goddard, who Rogan said has been in the game for a couple of decades, is pretty amazing. It's also pretty alarming to think about all the famous and dangerous fighters Goddard has officiated over the years. Where do you think Pot ranks in the history of MMA in terms of how dangerous he was? He needs to be up because of his power.